All right, so first thing, for Science 10, the most important key for success is to be here. Okay? This course moves very, very fast. All right? Missing more than a couple of days in a row is going to put you behind pretty quickly. Okay? If you are to miss, okay, I do record each and every class as I am doing right now. Okay? And I post it to YouTube, and then I link it back to Google Classroom. So if you are away, if you're sick or whatever, okay, because that happens, then just go to Google Classroom, go to the stream, and you'll see what we did that day. Okay, there'll be a recording. You got to just watch it, do what we do, okay, and then come back and say, all right, Mr. Codere, like I watched it, and I have these questions. Okay, that's going to be your responsibility if you're away, and that will keep you from getting behind. It is the second best thing you can do to be successful. First being be here. Okay, because we can't always replicate exactly what happens here electronically, because, well, you can't ask YouTube questions. Okay, if you put something in the comments, I'm not answering. Don't look at the comments, okay, for the YouTube videos. All right. So if you are absent, you're responsible for any material you miss, including if we do a lab, okay, or an assignment or a project or something like that. Okay, we have observations videos for pretty much every single lab because, well, during COVID, that's what we had to do. So now they're available. So if you were sick on the day we do a lab, you can still do the lab, and you are still expected to do the lab, okay, and hand in the lab report. All right. For lates, okay, make sure that you're here on time, okay. Make sure you're here for 12:11, okay, when class starts. If you are not, you will find the door in the closed position as it is right now. Stay on the other side of it, okay. I will come and get you when I'm ready, when it's not an interruption to what we're doing in class. Okay, so don't knock, don't make faces at people through the window. Okay, I'll come and get you when I'm ready. All right. If you've been out there for 10 minutes or more, you're either late all the time and I'm ignoring the fact that you're out there, or I just haven't seen you, at which point you can knock. Okay, as long as you're not being ignored on purpose because you're always late. Okay? In which case, yeah, stay there. All right. For the resources that are available to you. So obviously you guys have used Google Classroom before. Okay, you know what it looks like. Okay, and hopefully you got the invite, okay, for period 3. And you can see that I've already posted some of the materials that you will need for this course. Okay, that would be the notes packages arranged by unit, okay, and the worksheet packages and other important materials that you will need. Okay, so if you go into the class work tab, you will see those. Okay, so the notes packages, they look like they're an assignment, but they're never going to be due. The only reason I have it set up that way is so that you get your own personalized copy of the notes. All right, so it just takes a minute to load because they're big files. But you'll see that when it does load, it looks similar to what you would see on your phone, which is it's got your name and it'll say like Unit 1, okay? So it's a Google Doc here. So this would be Unit 1 right here, the chemistry package, and then this would be Unit 2, and so on. So they're all there, okay? And the expectation here is that you always have the notes package with you in class for at least the unit that we're on, okay? I don't care how you have that. Lots of people just put it on their phone and they access it from their phone, and when I say, hey, add this to your notes, they just have the Google Doc open and they type it into their phone. I'm okay with that. Okay, if you have a laptop or a tablet that you do that on, that's totally fine. If you're a pen and paper person, totally okay with that too. Okay, go home, print a copy of the notes. My only caution on that is don't print them in color, right? Where you're going to have one of those Shaquille O'Neal cartridge conniptions like he has on TV. Okay, and it's a total waste of resources for you to print those in color. Okay, so to just print them in black and white, otherwise you're definitely going to be replacing cartridges, and that's expensive. All right, so if you're going to have them on paper, just print them in black and white. Okay, but make sure you have the notes package with you every day, as well as the worksheet booklet for that unit. Okay, so you can see the other thing that I had posted there was the worksheet packages. All right, so there's a worksheet package for, and they'll show up here in your work as well, okay, for each unit except biology. And then there's a lab report expectations, which will go over your day one package, which is what you have in front of you now, a metric system thing, and a periodic table. I will also give you copies of the periodic table and data sheets. Okay, they're there ready to hand out. I just haven't done it yet, obviously. Okay, and so you can see here you've got 3 worksheet packages, okay, and obviously you would need the one for chemistry. Hi.
Hey.
TikTok. Right here, towel. All right, so back to this stuff here. Okay, in terms of how do you use those resources? Okay, obviously stay on top of things. All right, check Google Classroom each day. Okay, the board in the classroom will have all of your due dates on it. They'll obviously also be in Google Classroom, so make sure you're checking there for when things are due. And again, if you're absent, make sure that you stay caught up. Okay? The worst thing you can do is come back after being gone for a couple days and go, hey, Mr. Coderre, what did I miss? I will give you this space. That's my unimpressed face. Okay? And my answer to you will be a lot. And then I'll turn around and walk away, okay? Because you've missed a lot, okay? And it's your responsibility to get caught up. You come back after being gone for a couple days and you go, Mr. Coderre, I watched the podcast. I tried the questions on naming chemical compounds. I'm struggling with molecular compounds. Can you please help me? 100%. You did your job. Now you need help? That's my job. Okay? So just stay caught up. Okay? That's the big thing. I just don't want anyone to get behind because it can snowball in a hurry. Okay? All right. Classroom behavior stuff. Okay, just make sure that we're treating everybody respectfully. Okay, I will always do my best to treat everybody in here with respect. Okay, and I expect you to treat each other respectfully. Okay, it's a big deal. When you hear me say listen up, that means I need your full and undivided attention. So eyes forward, earbuds out. Okay, and we're getting started on things. In terms of work that gets assigned to you, there's 2 kinds. Okay, there's the work that gets assigned and gets marked. That would be lab reports, assignments, research projects, okay, things like that. Those you'll hand in mostly on Google Classroom. Okay, in fact, I can't think of anything right now that you would actually hand in on paper, so pretty much everything on Google Classroom. That'll get marked, put in your grades, returned, and we'll go over it. Okay, and then there's the practice stuff. Okay, so the stuff that's basically in the worksheet booklets. So we're going over how to name chemical compounds, and you're practicing your ionic compounds. There's like 200 compounds in there for you to practice with. I'm not checking those. Okay? I'm going to assign them. I'm going to say work on these and make sure you master the ability to write the names and formulas of ionic compounds, but I'm not going to come around and do a homework check. I don't do those. Okay? If you've done, 50 or 60 of those and you're like, man, this is really easy, I've got this, and you're getting every single one of them right, you probably don't need to do 200 of them. Okay, that I'll leave to you, all right? But if it's something you're struggling with, it's probably a good idea to do more of them. Okay? So that stuff's not getting checked. It's not going to be part of your grade. The way I homework check is quizzes. You will have 2 quizzes a week, one on Tuesday and one on Thursday. They're very short, 5-10 minutes. They're usually on the last 2 or 3 days worth of material. And I post a practice quiz the night before. So at 3:30 on Monday, you'll get a practice quiz posted in Google Classroom. 3:30 on Wednesday, a practice quiz will be posted in Google Classroom. Sometimes it's the actual quiz. So it's always in your best interest to do the practice quiz, because if it's not identical, it's going to be really, really similar. All right? So do that practice quiz, you come in the next day, you'll get the real quiz, and you'll be like, oh, this is so easy because I practiced this yesterday. Okay? The purpose of the quizzes is not to compile a huge portion of your grade. Okay? At the end of the semester, it's 10% of your final mark. I mean, do the math. 2 a week for an entire semester for a total of 10%. Like they're each worth less than 0.5% of your final grade. Okay? So doing poorly on one, not a big deal. Okay? It happens. They're mostly to review. Okay? And to tell you, oh man, I did good on this quiz. I'm really good at this stuff. Okay? Or, oh, this quiz didn't go very well. Maybe I should come in for some help. Okay? And they also tell me, oh, everybody did awesome on that quiz, we can move on. Oh, everybody didn't do very well on that quiz, we should probably spend an extra day on that. That's really what they're for. They're a review tool. Okay? but they're also kind of freebie marks. If you're doing a practice quiz, you're going to do well. All right. So do all of your work, okay? If I find you're not handing in your work, so the stuff that actually comes in for marks, you know, like your 2 lab reports and an assignment behind, okay? At that point, I'm going to be in your face, okay? And it's going to be, look, you're not getting it done. You got to come in at nighttime. You got to come in at lunch or whatever, okay? I'm going to call mom and dad, okay? And I'm going to go, oh, little Johnny is really struggling to get his work done, and I'm going to bring him in at lunch and at nighttime and make sure he gets caught up. And they're going to go, really? How can we help? You really don't want your parents to say that to me, because I have really good ideas on how they can help, none of which you'll like. Okay, like your car keys go missing, the Xbox disappears, stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, just make sure you're handing in your stuff on time, and that's not going to be a problem. In terms of exams, okay, there are no rewrites in this course, right? I will tell you 2 weeks ahead of time when your exams are. So you have lots of time to prepare, come in and get help from me, ask questions, all of that good stuff. Okay, I do a pretty comprehensive exam review before the exam. Some of the exams, I even have like a practice exam, so you have a really good idea of how you're going to do, okay, and how to prepare. So there aren't any rewrites. Should you, by some act of God, not pass a test, which really is quite rare, okay, then you come in and see me and we make some arrangements for how we can make a grade correction, okay? But we don't just get to go, well, I'll do it again. No, okay? Real life doesn't work like that. If you become a brain surgeon and you screw up, you lobotomize somebody, you don't get a do-over on that, okay? So we're kind of moving more towards real life here, okay? Fairness versus equality, okay? I'm a pretty understanding and empathetic person. If there's something going on for you and you're having trouble, getting things done, or you know something happened and you need an extension, or you just something's going on, come and see me. Come and ask. Okay. The worst thing that can happen is I say no. Okay. But I don't do that very often if people have legitimate things going on. So the fairness versus equality thing, I hope that everyone can understand that sometimes it might look like I'm doing something for one person that I'm not doing for everybody else, and that probably won't feel fair. But understand that I'm trying to be as fair as possible, because I get that everybody comes from a different place. Everybody has different things going on in their lives, some of it good, some of it not good, and that affects us all differently. So I try to take all of that into account when I make decisions that affect people. If you ever feel like I haven't been fair, come in after class, you can call me on it, and I'll do my best to explain why I made the decision I made, but sometimes you may have to accept that I can't tell you the whole story behind the decision because it involves someone else, and that I did my best to be fair, and I'll apologize if it didn't feel fair. Okay, but like I say, I try and do my best and treat it case by case. Okay. All right, and then accountability. Okay, high school is the start of real life, so due dates and timelines are part of your reality. So you're expected and required to hand in materials on time and be responsible for your actions. I'll give plenty of time for assignments to be completed. So the shortest turnaround you could expect between when I assign something and when it has to be handed in is 2 school days. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to get like the 2 classes to work on it, but it would be 2 school days. And I honestly don't remember the last time I even made it that short. And if I did, it was probably like I assigned it on a Thursday, so it was like Friday, Monday, so there was a weekend included in those 2 school days. Very rarely is anything ever going to be due less than 4 days from when I assign it. Okay, because it's not fair. If I give you a 25 question sheet and say, get this done for tomorrow, that's not fair. Okay? That doesn't help you with time management or anxiety or anything like that that's important. Okay, that's throwing a monkey wrench in the machine, and I wouldn't do that. Okay, so you're always going to get lots of time. That way you can come and see me and ask questions if you need to. You got time to plan around your part-time job or your extracurricular activities or whatever else you got going on. Okay, but you got to have time to do it, and I understand that. So I'll always do my best to give you adequate time. Plus you'll get some class time to work on things as well. Okay. Questions so far, guys? All right, in terms of your marks, okay, so assessment and evaluation, the first thing is that I will not discuss your mark with you in class. Okay, I can't discuss it in front of other people. So if you have a question about a grade, come in and see me after class, lunch, or whatever, okay, and I'd be happy to go over it with you and explain it, okay. Your marks will be distributed according to the syllabus, which we'll talk about in a minute, okay. Assignments and labs will be handed in on time, and on time means 8:30 a.m. on the due date. It'll be set in Google Classroom as that, okay. So if you're submitting something to me, it's 8:30 a.m. on the due date through Google Classroom. Okay? That is when you can hand it in for full marks. After that, it's considered to be late, okay? Unless you have spoken to me about it in particular. Right? Here's the reason why the late penalty is 30%. Okay? Because it's 30%, it's big. I will always give you back your stuff the next day. Always. Okay, I've been teaching for 24 years. I have failed to give an assignment back the next day once. Okay, and it was the day my second son was born. I stand by my decision to hold my wife's hand and let her scream at me while she squeezed out our kid, as opposed to sitting there marking labs. It was the right decision. I totally stand by that decision. I had them marked the day after. Okay, but I will always get them back to you the next day, okay, because I want to be able to go over them with you while they're fresh in your mind. If you worked hard to get it in on time, I should work hard to get it back to you so that you can learn from it. All right? But what that means is, if you didn't hand yours in on time, it's hardly fair for you to sit there, write down all the answers, and go, hey, Mr. Good, look how smart I am. Okay? And that's not fair. Okay? I don't know now how much of that was your legitimate work versus how much of it you were able to just get from somebody else or from me. Okay? And so it wouldn't be fair to give you the same mark as all the people who got it in on time. Okay, so I do turn them around very quickly. All right. Okay, and again, things come up, come and talk to me. Okay, like I said, I'm pretty understanding, but if there's no good reason for it to be late, then the late penalty will apply. Okay, all right, so the course syllabus, there are 4 units in Science 10. Okay, and we will start out with matter and energy in chemical change. We shorten that to chemistry. Okay, so that's the chemistry unit. That's what we'll start out with today. In that, we'll do some things that'll be familiar, like naming compounds and chemical reactions and things like that. But we build on what you learned in Science 9. Okay, we go into different reaction types, predicting reactions, looking at chemical versus physical changes. Okay, and then finally doing mole equation calculations, which involves some algebra and some math. Okay, so that unit will take us to probably about the middle of March, because we do have that week off there in February. That'll kind of interrupt chemistry a little bit, so probably middle to end of March. Okay. The second unit is biology, okay, and then that will go over the parts of the cell and what they do, how cells and multicellular organisms transport material, growth and development in plants, stuff like that. It tends to be a shorter unit, but it does tend to be more challenging for people, okay? Because they perceive it to be very easy, like all I have to do is memorize, but it's much more than memorization. That one will take us about 3 weeks. It's like I say, it's quite a bit shorter, so probably around, I don't remember when Easter falls, but it'll be like mid-April probably that we'll finish that. And then unit 3 is physics, okay? Physics is probably the longest of the units. Okay, it is also the most math intensive. You'll be doing some graphing, lots of algebra, okay, things of that nature. So how many of you took math first semester? Okay, so you know what, like a lot of it is going to be the skills you learned in Math 10. So that, y equals mx plus b, rise of a run, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the advantage of having science second semester, is you have math already under your belt. So that one will take us probably up until the very end of May / first week of June. Okay, and then the last unit is energy flow in global systems, which is, well, short. I've taught it in as few as 4 days and as many as 10. Okay, it doesn't take very long to do that one, so we do it right before finals, and it's got stuff in it like the water cycle, energy transfers, thermodynamics, climate, biomes, stuff like that. It's kind of a hodgepodge of everything. Okay, so those are the 4 units, and then your marks will be distributed as follows. So your unit exams are 40% of your final grade, so 10% per unit, okay, of your final grade. Your labs, projects, and assignments, that's your classwork, is 30% of your final grade, okay? And if you need help on any of those, you can always come and see me. I always say that if you have a lab report done and you'd like it reviewed, pop in, say, Mr. Carey, can you read over my lab with me? And yeah, okay, we'll go through your lab report, and if I see anything kind of glaring, I'll say, can you maybe in this question talk a little bit more about this idea? Maybe add that to your answer, 2 or 3 minute edit, or in your hypothesis, can you talk a little bit more about this? So give just a couple tips and pointers, makes a bit of a difference. Okay, so that's 30%. Your quizzes, as we already said, are 10%, and your final exam is 20%. Okay, so as you can see, the course is fairly test heavy. All right? And the reason for that is, well, over the last few years, we've found that people's classwork has become more collaborative. Yeah, okay. And that's fine. I don't mind people working together and coming up with things, but it also means that when I assess your lab report, if you worked on that with 4 other people, your mark on that lab report may not be a reflection of what you really know. It was a reflection of what the 3 or 4 of you knew. And that's okay, but understand that in the end, your mark has to reflect what you know. Tests tell me that. Okay, so it's fine to work together with people. I have no problem with that, as long as you're producing your own stuff. It's okay if you work together to come up with ideas, but in the end, your product needs to be slightly different than everybody else's. Okay. All right, help times. If you need to come in and see me for help, obviously nighttime at the end of this class, you can stick around and ask questions, okay? But otherwise, I'm available every morning except Tuesdays, because that's our staff meeting morning from 8:05 to 8:25. Okay, I'm also available the first half of lunch, Monday to Thursday, and I'm available after school, Monday to Thursday, okay, from 3:25 to about 3:50, okay? You can come in and ask me questions any of those times. I'm always here to help if you need it, okay? Just pop in. And it doesn't mean, obviously, that you have to be here that whole time. If you've got just one question that's going to take 5 minutes, pop in, okay? That's no problem at all. Can you have food or drink in this class? Yes, you can, absolutely. I have no problem with that. But if you make a mess, I just ask that you clean it up. Okay? Can we listen to music in this class? Conditionally, yes. Okay? If I'm doing what I'm doing right now, which is at the front and teaching you something, then I would expect that your earbuds are not in. Okay? But if we're doing some seat work and you're just practicing something and you can concentrate better that way, no problem. Okay? Fire exits. Those are always good to know. Okay, fire exit for this room is actually out the languages wing. So we would go to the stairs, turn right, and go out those doors there by the seating area. Okay, so we would go out that door and go to the football field. If that exit is blocked, our secondary fire exit is the front doors of the school. So we would go out the front doors and into the parking lot. If both of those are blocked, then we go out the science wing here and up to the football field. And if none of those are available, I throw a desk through the window and we go out that way. Okay? If you need to leave class to go to the bathroom or just take a little walk, a short break or something like that, or you need to go talk to PJ or Jen or something like that, just ask. Okay, I'm totally okay with people who obviously need to go to the bathroom, but if you need just a little break, okay, you got to take that 2-3 minute little walk around just to clear your head or settle yourself. I get that. Okay, and that's totally fine. I just ask that you keep it to a short period of time if at all possible. Okay, what I don't want to have to do is look at my watch and go, crap, so-and-so's been gone for like 35 minutes. Okay, now I'm worried about them. They asked to go to the bathroom. Did they fall in? Like I need to know where you are. And if you're needing to go talk to PJ or Jen, just ask for that, because that's what often happens. So can I go to the bathroom? And then they don't come back. And I don't know where they are, and it's just that they went to talk to PJ or Jen. Look, if you need to go talk to PJ or Jen, just say so. Okay, I don't mind. Okay, if you need help, then you go get it. Like that's totally cool with me. Okay, if you just need to take that little walk, go and take that little walk, but don't miss too much. I don't want you to be away for a long period of time. What do you need for this class? Materials. The stuff that's on Google Classroom, notes package and worksheet package for the unit we're on at the very least. And I would suggest that if you're going to use the electronic versions, that you actually download them onto your device, because we all know how reliable our Wi-Fi is. Okay, I mean, it's out as often as it's up, so it might not be a bad idea to have them available offline, okay, on your phone just in case. You will also need loose leaf paper. Okay, you don't have to take a lot of notes because you're going to have the notes package, but you're going to need to do practice work and practice questions. So you'll need some loose leaf paper, pens and pencils, and at the very least a scientific calculator. Okay, you don't necessarily need to have the TI-80 whatever we're on graphing calculator. Okay, that's not necessary. If you don't want to, fork out that kind of cash, you don't have to. This is usually available for less than $10. Okay, at like Walmart or Staples or whatever. Like, they're not an expensive calculator, but they'll do everything you need for this course. Okay, so you don't have to shell out a ton of money for a calculator. Scientific will do. Okay, and then obviously I'll give you a periodic table and formula sheet. The formula sheet is actually on the back of the periodic table. Each one of you will get one of those for the course as well. Okay, if you lose yours, there'll be a few extras, but once the extras are gone, you'll have to print it off of Google Classroom, because I won't print one. Gotta save trees. Questions from you guys? Anything I didn't cover? Okay. I'm gonna give you about a 3-4 minute break within the classroom here while I get the next lesson ready, okay? And then we'll get started.